Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners. Just want to give you a little information about the mission of the Newsa-Cast. Our mission stems from the mission of the Red Smith Banquet, and that mission was to support youth sports in the Fox Valley. Over the 57 years of its existence, we've been honored to give out over $1 million to various youth sports organizations throughout the Fox Valley. The Newsa-Cast is looking to continue that mission and support youth sports as well. You can help us do that by donating to the Newsa-Cast and the Red Smith Sports Banquet.
On today's Newsa-Cast, we talk lacrosse. We talk to Mikey Zadroga and Brendon Connolly, both former Marquette lacrosse players. Mikey, of course, we've talked to him before. He's the Lawrence lacrosse coach. They both started Construct Lacrosse, so we're going to learn about summer lacrosse. Tosh and I take an old look at new. We, of course, have our throwback, and we look at Mark Johnson, and it's the anniversary, right, of the Miracle on Ice. Pretty cool. Tosh and I talk about that a little bit. And we end the show like we always do with It's Forgotten, and I'm Never Forgetting. So what do you say? Let's get this show on the road.
When I grew up, I played baseball and lacrosse, and my mom was like, I cannot watch you play baseball anymore. You don't do anything. One of the signs they built up for promo is, if you hate standing in the outfield, come try lacrosse. And the other side of the sign said, if you hate watching your kids stand in the outfield, bring them to lacrosse. I think they went by the field like 2 or 3 days later, and the signs were ripped up and in the trash can.
Welcome to the Newsa-Cast. What is a Newsa-Cast? It's where we bring local folk stories to life through conversation.
Welcome to another episode of the Newsa-Cast, quickly becoming everybody's favorite podcast.
Heck yeah.
We're excited this week. We're going to do a kind of review interview with Mikey Zadroga. We're kind of having him come back to the podcast, not necessarily to talk about lacrosse at Lawrence, but his summer program, which is Construct Lacrosse, which he founded with his former playing partner, Brendon Connolly.
Yeah, absolutely. Tosh, quickly becoming an all lacrosse podcast, aren't we? It's our favorite subject, I think, but no, it was a great interview with him. You're right. There's a whole, you have the college side of lacrosse, and then you have the youth side for sure. And
yeah,
we're big advocates of the youth for sure. But that's where the kids play in the summer. So it was an interesting conversation. There's been a little bit of change in summer lacrosse up in this area, and we get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, you guys are going to learn a lot, and you're going to hear a lot about what that summer program is like, and learn a little bit more about Brendon Connolly as well. I know we spent some time with Mikey several episodes back, but it was good to catch up with him again. And you're going to enjoy it. I know it's a lot of lacrosse, but with WIA starting March 11th, I think it's going to be excellent for people to see around here and check out those games when they're being played at the high schools around this area.
No, really, folks, Tosh had a tough week. Ethan had a tough week with hockey, and he just wanted to move on to lacrosse and talk nothing else but lacrosse. So that's really the reason we're doing this episode.
Right. Season's done. So unfortunately for the Fox City Stars, their season is over, but a pretty successful season. There's a lot of improvement. Coaches did a great job, and the players responded well to the coaching and played well this year. So definitely an improvement over the last few years, and definitely seeing that improvement, steady improvement that you want to see in a program. So a lot of good things, good shout outs to all the coaches, Coach Stauber, Coach Watson, and Coach Grapton, and Coach Toshner as well. My son helped out for a little bit at the end of the season, the last month and a half, and they all did a really good job. And the players, great group of kids, I should say young men, and they'll improve. They'll have some summer skates, get back at it in the fall, and be ready to go for next season.
Literally, in the meantime, right? They exchange helmets for the lacrosse helmet and giddy up. I mean, it's time to play. College is in full swing, and high school starts in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an exciting time. A lot of those spring sports, that's all good stuff. So excited to to wrap up the winter season here.
That's right.
And move on to the next season. A lot of good stuff coming up.
Speaking of wrapping up the winter season, Tosh, it's been an incredible winter from a warmth standpoint, and that doesn't bode well for ice, as we've heard about your ice rink for sure. But kind of felt bad in the state fishing tournament. We had Ryan Marks on about a few months ago talking about the outdoor club, and this was supposed to be the state fishing tournament weekend for the kids, and well, we all know how the ice isn't there, so it wasn't quite what they were hoping for, but.
Yeah, and I don't know how many teams ended up going. It's better to be safe than sorry. You don't want any tragedies or any injuries and things like that. Even the Battle on Bago this weekend was canceled. So it's a weird year. We have these years. They come and go. And maybe next year it'll be really cold. And we won't be talking about this. And everybody will be out ice fishing yet and doing all the things they have to. But, yeah, it's unfortunate. I haven't heard how many teams ended up being in the state tournament, but good luck to those teams, and I'm sure we'll hear some stuff about them in the future. But another ice that we need to talk about isn't necessarily the ice for fishing or ice for skating, but the ice for curling.
Yes.
And, we spent some time talking curling a while back with Jackson Armstrong, and he's in Finland right now with his team. And last time I checked, they were 2-1. They're in second place, and I haven't checked again. I know there's a little time delay between Finland and here in Wisconsin, but doing pretty well so far. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how things go.
That was a great episode. That was maybe our second episode, I think, ever of the Newsa-Cast. And I remember Jackson and his dad talking about taking this trip, and it's here, and it's exciting. Those guys and the Red Smith Banquet we had in 2022, and Bill Walton was here. We had the U.S. Olympic men's curling team here as well. They're on our YouTube page. Check that out. Yeah. I just saw John Schuster. He posted something. They're right in the middle of their championships, and obviously the goal is to get to the Olympics here coming up. So it's an exciting time in the world of curling, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Armstrong's second trip to Finland in the last 3 months.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. I think we even asked him that blew us away. Mm-hmm. So good luck to them, and hopefully we have some good news on our next week's episode. And hopefully we can maybe get the Armstrongs back on to talk about their experience in Finland. Yeah, and the two tournaments, the B and now the Worlds, and hopefully we can get them on and talk a little bit about what happened and how things went and what it was like flying to Finland and being in Finland and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Excited to hear from those guys. Definitely. And I know we're still talking about ice. So there's not a lot of ice and like ice rinks and things like that. But next weekend in downtown Appleton is the Ice Festival. Yes. So what did I read? 23 different ice sculptures will be on the Ave. Right. On different locations. That's a great time to get out. And, if the weather is like it is, it's going to be beautiful out to walk around the Ave, check out some shops, maybe get some coffee at places like, coffee, whatever Rock, coffee shop you like. Hey. Copper Rock, Brewed Awakenings, wherever you want to go. And check out the ice sculptures. I kind of wish it was colder. I know it's supposed to get in the 40s, but hopefully next weekend it's 25. How about, right? And those ice sculptures, that is just incredible. The talent people have. I don't even know how they do that. It's absolutely it's pretty incredible. You can't believe it. And it is a lot of fun. Remember, we had Jennifer Stefani on last week or the week before talking downtown, and it's walkability. You're right, Tash. Yeah. Grab a coffee from one of the shops and just walk the Ave. It's a good time, definitely. Yeah, and they put a lot of work into those. Just imagine, basically carving out 23 different sculptures and the teams that do that. And it's excellent. I think the theme is summer on ice. Okay. It's something like that. Yeah. I can't remember quite. I just, now it's escaping my mind. That's all right. But they have a theme for it, and it's great. I mean, support the local businesses. That's a huge thing. Get out some foot traffic and get out there and enjoy everything that College Avenue has to offer. Oh, absolutely. It's a great time to be an Appletonian. A lot of things to follow, a lot of things to do. What do you think, Tosh? You and I play a little old look at new?
Sounds good.
All right. It's that time again, once again, for an old look at new, brought to you by Rollie Winter and Associates, celebrating 55 years. Did you know that in 1962, an Appleton junior high school teacher with a strong work ethic started a residential realty company? His name, Rollie Winter. 3 generations later, the Winters still hold true to a strong work ethic and an excellent reputation in the community. Today, Rollie Winter and Associates remain actively involved in providing retail, office, and industrial users an affordable, well-designed working environment through the creation and/or acquisition of quality real estate in the Fox Cities and even beyond new. So what do you say? Let's take an old look at new.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, it is time to take that old look at new, where we take a little look at history in Northeast Wisconsin. Joe, what are you looking at for your old look at new this week?
Well, Tosh, this one kind of came out of the blue, but it triggered a memory. So I'm gonna take the fine Newsa-Cast folks back to my grade school days. These don't exist anymore at elementary schools. It doesn't matter if public or private schools, but the good old-fashioned marble pit. Do you remember that? Somebody posted in, I think, the Appleton Historical Society Facebook page. They just picture of a marble, and it just started triggering. Frank, I went to Franklin Elementary School. Huge marble pit. You play with steelies, littles, biggies, super balls. We were learning how to gamble in first grade. And it was the world's greatest thing. And they don't do that anymore. It's non-existent in the school. You ask a kid what marbles are, they probably don't even know. But there was a time and a place when you went to elementary school, you played marbles every single day. Well, at least when it wasn't snowing. Okay. So an old look at new is marbles, Tosh. I know it's a little bit weird. It probably could have even been I'm never forgetting. But I wanted the fine folks to remember that back in the day, we played marbles and we learned how to gamble.
All right, there you go.
Yes.
And that started all the problems that exist
That's
today.
Right. It's kids show, Tosh, right? Kids show.
Exactly.
How about you, Tosh? What are you looking at?
Well, it's a fitting old look at new. It does have Wisconsin ties, but like we said, it doesn't always have to be totally Northeast Wisconsin. We're going to look back at Wisconsin girls hockey coach Mark Johnson and the amazing Herb Brooks. And February 22nd, when this comes out, back in 1980, the Miracle on Ice happened, where the USA hockey team beat the Soviet Union 4-3 at Lake Placid in the 1980 Olympics. A tremendous, probably one of the greatest upsets that happened in sports, many people say, because the Russians at the time were all pros.
Do you believe in miracles, Tosh?
Brooks, yeah, do you believe in miracles? Al Michael, right?
Right.
Herb Brooks took that team of college guys and turned them into a gold medal team, which is absolutely incredible. I remember watching that back in 1980 on the three channels that we got on TV at that time. 2, 5, and 11, baby. Yep. It was fabulous. It was a good time. I mean, a tremendous Olympics, when you look at Eric Heiden and, there's a lot of Wisconsin ties to those Olympics in 1980.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, Tosh, that made me think. Remember, somebody would have to get off their chair to turn the dial, to change the channel.
Yeah,
no remote.
Exactly.
So,
no remote. Yeah, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, that 1980 Olympics was so good, right? Eric Heiden. But the Miracle on Ice, the call. I mean, it had to be Al Michael's greatest call ever, and that's saying something for his career. But yeah, I remember watching that, and in my family home with my dad and my brother and that was big time, and that was exciting. So good. That's a good one, Tosh, because I mean, it's a national event, but heck, everybody, Northeastern Wisconsin, everybody was watching that.
Everybody was. And it's turned into a great movie too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Miracle. Yeah, excellent movie. We watched it at least twice during the hockey season.
I don't blame you.
Well, that was an old look at new.
Yeah, that was.
That's a good one, Joe.
It was. Well, thank you, folks, and thank you, Rollie Winter.
All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, we're excited to have our first guest repeat. We have Coach Zadroga from Lawrence, And we have his co-founder of Construct Lacrosse, Brendon Connolly, as well. And we're going to catch up a little and learn a little about Brendon, and then kind of talk about the Construct program here in town. So welcome to the Newsa-Cast again, and for the first time.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, thank you again. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it was a great interview the first time, so I know it's going to be fantastic again.
Yeah, I got to ask, are you adjusted? Are you adjusted to the Fox Cities now? You were just moved into Menasha last time we spoke?
Yeah, definitely. I have like my favorite spots. I have my consistent places that I go. And then there's only like probably 2 or 3 spots that I haven't tried. Like I know I need to get the Sal's Pizza. I just met someone from Lebanon, like Lebanon, PA. And they were like, Sal's Pizza is the closest thing to home. So,
well, Brendon, welcome to the Newsa-Cast. I would love to get a little background on you and just a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are here.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. So it's kind of been a long road to get to Wisconsin. I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, actually just north of Baltimore in Towson, Maryland, right down the road from like Towson University, Loyola, Maryland, and Johns Hopkins. So kind of where I'm from and where I grew up, lacrosse was kind of the sport, which is very different from here. Like I grew up and the first sport I ever remember playing and the sport I've played my whole life was lacrosse. We're given plastic lacrosse sticks with plastic mesh, and they just threw a Kelly Post t-shirt on you and ran around the field for 5 years. And the way we grew up was all of our buddies' dads were guys that played in college, that played at like Loyola and North Carolina. So we were pretty fortunate to have guys that have been a part of the history of growing lacrosse. Like I had Steve Mitchell as one of my coaches growing up, and he ended up being actually considered one of the first true LSMs at North Carolina. And so I've learned from some really, really awesome guys. Played at St. Paul's, had an awesome experience there with Rick Piccato. Played probably some of the highest level high school lacrosse and really, really, really enjoyed it. Couldn't get away from it and ended up coming out to Marquette. Joe Amplo gave me a chance. I guess progressed a little bit later into my career. And he said, "Hey, I got a spot. We're starting a program. If you can get out here and you can hold a lacrosse stick, you can be on the team." So I took that opportunity. I had no idea where Milwaukee was. But I came out for a visit. It was probably -2 degrees. And he's like, "So what do you think?" And I said, "I want to come here." And he's like, "Why don't you take the weekend and think about it?" And I told him, "No, I'll call you on Monday morning and I'll tell you I'm coming." So, and now I haven't left. I've been here pretty much every summer. I absolutely love Milwaukee. I love Wisconsin. The people are beyond nice, I guess would be the best way to put it, compared to back home. So it's definitely become home over the past, 9 years now.
Yeah, and the temperature changes, right? It's 30 degrees in February.
Yeah. The winters are a little tough, but it's
agreed. Early on, when you were youths and the dads were coaching, was that like through a rec department? Was that through schools? Like how was it structured, the youth program?
So we had a youth program called Kelly Post growing up. It was a rec program that just put on, I want to probably consider closest to like the Sixes League that they're doing in the Olympics now. There was a bunch of teams within that program, and you would all just play each other. So like a team would be the green team and the pink team and the yellow and the purple, and you would just show up at the local middle school and you would play all weekend, or you'd play a game on the weekend and then you would go home. But then as we grew up and we got older, those teams kind of splinter off into their own rec programs. They're not necessarily aligned with schools. They're more just, I guess, teams that were made up by the towns that you lived in. Like I grew up playing for MLC, or Maryland Lacrosse Club. And you played different than here. You played that all the way through 8th grade. And you'd have an 8th grade championship where you'd play like a state-ish championship in the Baltimore County area. So it's a little bit different than it is here, where it's a little bit more, schools are a lot more integrated to it and use a lot of high school resources, which is really nice.
Well, it's kind of why you guys set up Construct. I mean, it answers. There's not a lot of opportunities. It basically is going to be replacing Scani. I mean, for anybody that's familiar up to this point, I mean, that's been, quote, the summer league, and that's its own thing in itself. But I guess I'm so interested in your careers, but it, begs the question with Construct. This is giving the kids that opportunity to play lacrosse, and at least in our area, the school district doesn't offer it other than high school.
Yeah, and I know Mikey can kind of speak to that. I mean, I've been running the West Bend youth program for the past going on 3 years now.
Yeah.
And like I said, growing up, I was fortunate to have people that had played lacrosse at a high level as their coaches. And out here, it's more focused on growing the sport, trying to teach the people that maybe didn't grow up playing, or bringing kids back that have graduated college, because I think we're really starting to see a huge influx of that, where kids have gone off, played Division II, Division I, Division III lacrosse all over the country, and then they make the decision like, hey, I want to go back. And now when they come back, they're able to bring back all that wealth of knowledge, and it kind of is snowballing the talent level and the skill and the knowledge that is in the state, to really grow and accelerate the sport.
Yeah, that's really huge. You're absolutely right. I think it's taken like a generation or whatever, a decade of those kids because it really did start with just about nothing. And you're right. That's really cool to hear. That's very interesting, and I can see that. Do you guys ever see lacrosse like morphing into like the sixes, like they're playing in the Olympics, or the version of the PLL or something like that? Do you think that would ever come down to the college game, the high school game, or is just the traditional field game too good?
I think there's going to be a mixture, because, like, for example, like, I think the college game is probably like the best version of lacrosse right now, other than the 2-point arc. I think I personally think the 2-point arc is like the best thing ever at the PLL, but I don't like the shot clock at the PLL. I don't like the face-off rule. I think the field's too small. The field should be that small maybe for like high school kids, but like I don't know if it should be that small for pro. But I think what they're doing is actually, I forget what state just did it, but there's a state in the Midwest, I'm pretty sure it might be Michigan or something, that just made the shot clock like for all high school lacrosse. So back home on the East Coast, like Brendon's league that he played in, and then the Interact, which is like Haverford and Malvern Prep, they play college rules in high school. So they already do like the shot clock and everything, but the public schools don't.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to come because in Canada, I mean, they play shot clock when kids are like 5th grade and above for box. So I think that's going to become a thing, but I don't know if you'll ever see.
They have to have the shot clock.
Yeah.
There is nothing worse than a high school game without a shot clock.
It's like basketball too. You know, how many games have you seen on Twitter? The kid holds the ball for 5 minutes and it's a 22-20 game. Right. And he just holds it, you know, like,
yeah. So you'd like to see the 2-point arc in college? That'd be cool.
I would. I'd love to see it in college. I mean, in high school, honestly, too, the only thing that you run into is kids just wanting to shoot the two, like Steph Curry. Every kid now just wants to shoot a 3-point shot. But it's I mean, you know, it makes, I don't know, it kind of makes the game that much harder for defensive coordinators because sometimes, especially at the college level, if it's not D1, for example, you can just pack it in. And then, you know, you have no incentive to play people out. And then, you know, you could just get lucky with outside shots not going in or whatever it is. It just makes, I don't know, that makes it more fun, I think, is when they have to play and honor the shot clock or the 2-point arc, I would say.
Yeah, no, that would be exciting. I would love to see that. Hopefully. Keep our fingers crossed.
Well, the face-off, get ready for the face-off. That's probably going to go away.
Are they really? Yeah, they've gone to standing neutral now for a couple of years. But do you think they'd take it away?
They want
completely?
to take.
So what would it be? A quick restart?
They want to take the clamp away. So they don't want to necessarily take it's going to turn into almost like a hockey face-off. They don't want to clamp anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier box. That is one. I know there's a league that plays in the winter for about 6 weeks up in Green Bay at high school, and it's okay, but. Boy, I feel like that's an opportunity that more kids would play. I know there's not a lot of venues to play, but that's a great game, isn't it?
Yeah, we want to with Construct. We want to see if we can figure out a way to get box for like the middle school age group, so like 5th to 8th grade. But we also want to include the girls as well, because there's a really good group of girls that we coach right now, 5th and 6th grade wise, that are like super talented, like unbelievable, like out of this world. They're so good. We want to coach them with box lacrosse, but the way they do it in Philly is they play girls and boys in the same league until they get to 9th grade. So they just play together. Okay. And we've been talking about how we can get in touch with the place in Green Bay or something else and make it happen, because that opportunity I don't think exists for the youth kids. But we're also going to teach them how to play it. We're not just going to say, hey, here's a ball, go run around. We're going to like practice with them as they're playing the games. And we want the girls involved too, because there's not enough girls lacrosse in this area for the youth kids.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. It is growing a little bit, but you're right that's ready to explode. Absolutely. And you can see it on the summer. You know, the girls' side of the bracket sometimes is just as big as the boys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's huge. It's also, I don't know if Brendon agrees with this, but I think the girls' game is more skilled. You know, if you watch high level girls, like women's lacrosse, I think it's more skilled. The more you're involved with it, it's kind of fun. So yeah,
I'll take your word for it.
I think it's a little more skilled. I mean, Brendon will tell you too. We have these 2 girls right now that are in 6th grade that are absolutely, they're by far, like, their skill is through the roof in 6th grade. You know, like they're
awesome. Yeah. And I have no doubt about that. It's all about the stick skills for sure. But how about just a little bit of contact, maybe? You can do a little more. If you watch it this year, I've become a new fan. If you watch it this year, you'll see in the box, they can hit a little bit more. They can't extend, but they're gonna be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and I agree with Mikey. I've watched high school lacrosse growing up, and it wasn't super contacty, or at least back then it wasn't. But now, like, I watched probably the North Carolina Northwestern championship last year, and then the Boston College North Carolina, I think, semifinal in our championship last year. And the girls especially at the Division I level, I can't say the same for maybe the other levels, but they do hit each other, and they, like Mikey said, they cross-check each other and they knock each other around. Girls are flying around and they have no gear on. So
right.
I guess I have to check that out.
I wouldn't be the one playing, and I wouldn't volunteer for that, but those girls are tough. And like Mikey said, their skills are through the roof. Their sticks are significantly harder to handle the ball with. And even the smallest bit of contact and moving the stick around and shooting with it and creating the power that they do with it is pretty phenomenal, because we have it easy. We have a deep pocket and the ball barely comes out if you get checked really hard nowadays.
So the idea then with Construct is have the girls and boys side come up together and that's where they play.
Yeah, I mean, we basically, our biggest goal is, like, I know it could sound corny, but it's like construct, develop, excel. Like, our biggest goal is kind of to piggyback off of our name. Like, we want to teach the game at the highest level possible. So with the girls, like, we want to provide certain opportunities where they can just continue to get better. You know, like I was talking to Chris Green, right? And he's been telling me how his daughter and, like, her friends are waking up on Sundays and they're, like, running out of the house to get to our practice, which is awesome. Like, that's awesome. What we want to create. And we just want to provide both opportunities. You know, I know, like, it's easy to say, hey, we're just going to do boys lacrosse, but I think we can trust ourselves that, hey, we can teach fundamentals for both sides. And if we have the time and the capacity to do it, why not do it? Now, we're not going to do, like, a girls club team, right? That would be way too much, and we wouldn't have enough time or resources to do that. But we can do skills training and clinics and stuff like that, and continue to give them opportunities. And same thing with box. Like, if we're going to do box, we might as well add the girls, because if you look at hockey around here, the girls play with the boys sometimes for hockey as well. So why not just, you know, give them the best experience?
Right.
I guess maybe we can go back a little bit and just talk about how you guys came up with the idea, and, you know, what were those conversations to start Construct?
Yeah, so I know Mikey and I have kind of been involved since, like, I got out of coaching at Marquette. Mikey has kind of coached at a couple different places since we both graduated, and we both kind of had this love for coaching. It's kind of something that a lot of student athletes go through, is once they get out of the sport that they've played their entire life, it's kind of hard to figure out what maybe that next step might be. And for a lot, they kind of come to the realization that it's still sticking to the sport in some way, and passing down everything that they've learned and the opportunities that they've obviously been fortunate enough to participate in. So we both kind of fell in love with coaching, and we kind of always joked around, like, hey, if we end up back together, like, if this happens, like, we got to make something happen where we can really work together. and provide an awesome and exciting opportunity, because we both have a huge passion for it. And I think that's kind of what shines through probably most of these families, is that we get excited to get out there every day. It's an opportunity, at least for me, to get away from my desk and my desk job, to just spend some time with some kids, have a lot of fun, like compete, share that passion that we have. And these kids just crave it. They love playing. They love competing. They're always asking to be body checking and running up and down the field. And it's something that is contagious and something that I know Mikey and I really love. So it's just exciting to be able to kind of give back and bring all these kids together and provide that opportunity for them.
Where's like clinics and practices held?
We mix right now. We go to Players' Choice for most of our events. And then this summer, we're going to really bounce around to a couple different spots. So we're going to do skill days on Wednesdays in like Green Bay and in West Bend. So we have both options for kids, because we have kids from both areas, and our practices are going to be held in the Oshkosh area. So we're hoping to get maybe Oshkosh West or Oshkosh UWO, but it's going to be in the Oshkosh area for practices in the summer. Right now, we're just at Players' Choice. They have like probably the best indoor facility, I would say, in the area for the size and space and the availability, which has been awesome. But I also was going to piggyback off Brendon and just say like our name and stuff that was probably the funniest part of the whole thing. going through the different naming options. And I kind of wanted to draw it back. I just wanted to touch on this too. Like, the name Construct does embody us other than just teaching. For me, it's a special name because if you look at it, we have like construction tape in one of our logos. Like my whole family, and I was just talking to my AD about this because we have a similar background, works in construction, right? So like I started when I graduated college. When I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I actually was a union laborer every summer. And then because they were short on carpenters, it was easy for me to just go in, I was able to just become a carpenter, go through the union, become a carpenter. I didn't do my apprenticeship. So the construction background also kind of played a part into it. Like we're building these guys, we're building the foundation piece by, brick by brick is kind of what Brendon came up with through the saying. So it just is very kind of special to both of us. And it's the same way we came up, Brendon's nickname, he's not going to like this. Brendon's nickname was Needle because he was thin like a needle, freshman year. And he had to be built brick by brick, and he was holding on his senior year. We both dealt with injuries. Brendon was able to play through his, we've both been kind of built brick by brick, whether it's how our families grew up or whatever. So, it has like that special meaning too. I kind of wanted to get that out because for me, that's very important, is to have like that blue collar construction background. It just kind of makes it a little bit more special and unique.
No, I love that. One, you're preaching to the choir, right where you're coming from. And I really appreciate that. And I think, frankly, most people's lives, I think really, when you look at it, are probably like that. But Tosh and I, we look at that. We ask those questions a lot. Is exactly that. I mean, that if I'm a dad and I'm trusting you with my kid, I mean, that's exactly the kind of message that I want my kid. That's how I want my kid to learn, right? I mean, you don't want everything just given to them, but it's hard work. You have to learn. You have to start at the bottom and construct, right? And just build that foundation. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that message is lost sometimes with parents, and but it's a real thing. That is the way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other way, to be honest. I mean, you gotta and then when you think you get there, you just got to double down. I heard some guy, I forget the coach's name, from Christopher Newport. They won the basketball championship last year in Division III, and he was just on a podcast, and basically what he said was some of his guys thought that, they won it, it's going to get easier, and he's like, no, it's going to get 2 times harder. And that's kind of the same thing. It's like you just got to keep working at the end of the day.
Was that a big difference for you guys when you went to Marquette? I mean, obviously the talent went up when you went to that level. Was that pretty noticeable, just the drive of all the athletes?
Yeah, and I think especially Marquette being a new program when we got there. Our coach, Joe Amplo, kind of instilled that like I got there kind of at the tail end of like a lot of hard work, and I kind of got there at a really fortunate time. But we had a bunch of seniors like my freshman year. I can like name a few, like Jake Richard, Liam Burns, BJ Grill, a lot of guys who a lot of Division I schools didn't have any interest in recruiting them, having them play for them. And Joe kind of was like, you guys are the athletes. I know we can kind of work with this and we can build this into something great. You guys are going to have to take a chance on me. But if you're willing to do that and come out to Wisconsin, I can promise this will pay off. And
sure.
There's a lot of things like we have a t-shirt that has a storage container that was our locker room our freshman year.
Yeah.
And it's like, we always remembered where we're from. And even though like things might get nicer, like it's the hard work, just like Mikey said, continues. So we've kind of had that, and that's kind of been the instilled thing that's been instilled in us for those 4 and 5 years that we were there. So that's just something that we're trying to continue to push on to the younger generation.
Mikey, I know you touched it a couple of months ago when you were on, but I mean, that's pretty much the blueprint, right? For Lawrence is exactly what Amplo did is you're doing that at Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, definitely very similar. I would say we both went to Marquette, and I think a lot of guys went to Marquette because we drank Coach Amplo's Kool-Aid, and honestly, we still do. I mean, I try to talk to him as much as I can because he brought us there for a reason, and we believed in his vision. And honestly, the biggest thing was like, I now have this connection with Brendon, and I literally told him, like, you're one of the reasons why I want to move back to Wisconsin. Like he knew that. It was because we have this relationship, and every 2 weeks now, I talk to BJ. I talked to BJ Girl for an hour today. I went down and saw Jake Richard yesterday and Marquette guys, and like the love that we had as a program is kind of the reason we really pushed each other too. It was just different. We would talk to our friends from different programs, and the relationships we had were just different. And that's 100% what we want to do. And honestly, I want selfishly the guys that we have on this first class to be just like Jake and BJ and Liam and Kyle Whitlow and the guys and Connor Gately and Henry Nelson, like all these guys who were that first class. Like those guys were special. Those guys were like one of the most special groups just because of who they were as people, beyond like the lacrosse stuff.
Yeah, those people, it's amazing. They really do have an effect. I mean, they affect you the rest of your life. You learn from those people. I guess, I don't know. The older I get, you try to take the good from people like that. And it's amazing when you run into people like that and just get inspired. And that's really cool to hear. I love that. I'm sure Amplo's got to be pretty fired up for you guys. I'm pretty excited with what you're doing and where you're at in your careers.
Well, he followed us on Instagram, so I think that's a good step.
That's impressive. He's on Instagram.
Hey, Newsa-Cast listeners, you can find every episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Please help us grow by subscribing or sharing the Newsa-Cast with friends, or follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, or Instagram. So how are things going so far? I mean, what are your numbers like as far as your club or as far as the lessons and workouts going?
Yeah, so we started in the fall with just some simple clinics, and honestly, when we came to the idea of like, let's do some instruction, was very much that, like, let's just do some instruction and like, let's get the people that we know and the things that we know in front of as many kids as possible. And it just started with a single hour on I guess it was a Thursday night or whatever day we chose. And we do it once a week. And it started with like 6 kids between high school and
boys and
youth. And then and boys and girls. Yeah. So it was small. And then it's just kind of exploded from there. We've had parents come to us and like, hey, we love this. This is an awesome opportunity. We like the way you coach. And I'm not trying to like brag about the way we coach, but we're trying to be strict with these kids. We want to give them kind of some discipline, teach them the skills that they need to learn, and show them that like this can open a lot of doors, even at a young age. Like if you give this a good go and you work really hard at this, like you have an opportunity to open some doors, whether it be academically or making connections with people that you might have not known because of lacrosse. It opens a lot of doors. And I know it's kind of, that saying that everybody uses, like athletics are just a vehicle to get you to places you might not have been able to get to, but it truly is, because without lacrosse, I wouldn't be out here with Mikey, and I wouldn't have met some of probably my best friends in the world. So it's just an awesome opportunity. And then now it's grown into a club where we have I think we might have had 130 kids try out between 6 age levels. And we have registration open right now, planning for a couple, I think 5 or 6 teams this summer. So it's kind of grown into something that we didn't even expect. But it's something we're really excited for, because that just means we're doing a good job, and 2, that these kids want to continue to play and learn.
That's encouraging and exciting to hear. That's fantastic. Do you have then, will you have travel teams like for some of the older kids? Will they go to some of the Midwest tournaments, East Coast tournaments, whatever?
Yeah, we have 2 high school teams. We actually have one, and I think like it's we don't want to get into this like, hey, we call it like Construct High School National, but we don't want people to think like it's a national team, like we're taking 5 kids from California and 5 kids from Jersey and X, Y, and Z. We more so, national as in like we're going to go across the country and play the best competition, because we want to showcase the Bay Valley and Northeast Wisconsin and the North Shore of Milwaukee, where we'll have a couple kids, and we want to put these guys in front of every coach possible, where they can now walk away and say, all right, I had a full recruiting experience. I got to see what it was like. I got to play at a high level. Is this what I want or not? So we'll have that team, and they'll go to Nashville, Tennessee. They'll go to Indiana for an NXT event. They'll go to the best event in the summer called NLF, which is in Long Island, and then they'll finish in Chicago. And then we have a regional team.
Pipe City?
No, Chicago Showdown is what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a regional team who they're going to stay more local. The furthest they'll go is that NXT event, and they're also the younger team. So our goal, honestly, is to get to where high school is every grad year. But for right now, the high school group is the smallest group, and the youth group is the largest group. So, yeah, we have the travel teams there, and we're kind of finishing them up this week. And then, if we need a couple more kids for the national team or for the regional team, then I know some kids are in hockey, some kids are in basketball. They missed it. We might, say, hey, if you're interested, we'll get, because I'm going to be at high school games. I'll get out to a high school game. I'll evaluate you, and then we'll go from there.
So will they, what's their training like then in season? Twice a week or something, you practices and then hit the road on the weekends, a few weekends?
Yeah. So 2 days a week. So we'll start in the summer, the week of the state championship week. That will be our first week of practice, because not every guy will be playing high school still. We'll go Tuesday, Thursday from that week until the end of July. And then Wednesdays we'll have like a skills day, where Tuesday, Thursday's a team practice. We're going to prepare. We're going to compete together. Wednesdays will be open to anyone. Doesn't matter your club. And we have like a no recruiting policy. Like, we're not going to, at the skill day, recruit you to play for Construct. Like, if that's said by a coach, it's going to be a conversation, because it's skills available to kids who just don't have lacrosse and want to get better. There could be kids from other clubs who live close by who on Wednesdays they're open. They want to come in and play with their friends. And it'll be like offense, defense, Fogos, goalies. You'll get some work in by yourself, indie work like we do in college, and then we'll come together and do like small group and small sided drills.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, just that skill opportunity. I mean, that's more than anything what we need up here, is just to get these kids better at the stick skills.
Yes. We need a lot of passing and catching.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And it's funny, you can ask any of our college coaches, even when we play at the Division I level, stick skills are what they preach. They tell us we don't play enough wall ball, we don't play pass enough, and it's something that never changes. And just like you said about a moving target, you think it's going to get easier. It never does. Like, stick skills, they can always get better. There's always a different drill you can do. You can always play more wall ball. We had a buddy in college who could play wall ball with 3 lacrosse balls at once. Like, things I didn't know were possible are apparently possible. Yeah. So...
yeah, there's somebody always better, it seems. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's a great lesson. You can just always get better. You always have to practice, whatever. You have to, the fundamentals.
So, I mean, we'll make a plug here. Where can people get your information for Construct as well? I know you have a big social media presence, but maybe give us the listener possibly a little information.
Yeah. So right now our website is constructlax.com. That was kind of our initial website, where we have all of our registration for everything, skills for the next, I think, 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the program. And then we'll be transitioning over to a Construct Lacrosse website here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
That's where our registration is currently for our summer programs, and that's where the rest of our registration going forward will end up being, because that's more of a sharing app where people can connect. You can put all the kids in rosters and teams. Parents can chat, players can chat, coaches can interact with the players. We can RSVP to stuff just so we can get a better understanding of who's where and when we got to be there.
Yeah.
So.
And then Instagram is at Construct LAX. Facebook is Construct Lacrosse.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And like you said, we try and post everything that we can out there. It's an easy way to connect, and obviously it spreads pretty quickly through stuff like that. Everybody's on it nowadays, so we'd be foolish not to be marketing on it.
Yeah, that's the truth, isn't it? I mean, it's all about social media. One thing, it got me to thinking, the first question, we talked about you guys growing up and the opportunity to play, and you guys are giving the kids an opportunity to play. And Tosh and I don't really ever plug this, but it made me think, we have a grant. It's called the Every Kid Plays grant, that the kids just like that are eligible, where we help pay the cost of them to play the sport, to try the sport. And I think the two would work hand in hand. Sometimes lacrosse, I think sometimes gets the stigma that it's an expensive sport. And that doesn't necessarily the case. You can learn the sport relatively cheap, and this Every Kid Plays grant's a way to help with that, and kind of what you guys are doing with the skills days and all that. There's ways to learn the sport, and, cost doesn't necessarily have to be a barrier. Yeah.
And we're looking into how to craft together some try lacrosse days as well. That is definitely on our menu. I mean, we have, we're in the process of trying to get some sticks for ourselves, where like we can just show up and have 20 sticks and then play. We have box nets, so we can play speed lacrosse all day long and just get kids to try lacrosse. Okay. And then actually with Lawrence next year, we're going to be reaching out to some of the some of the elementary and middle schools in like Oshkosh and areas that don't have it, and bring our guys down to do some stuff in the gym classes. So I know that is definitely a goal to try to continue to bring sticks in hands, and have that opportunity, because we don't want to get to a spot where there's this mindset of like, oh, it's just the elitist lacrosse stuff. Like we don't want that at all. Like,
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's such a powerful piece that you said, getting the players into the elementary schools. I mean, when we talked to Casey Paul a couple of years ago when he was here for the Red Smith banquet, he talked about it all started with a gym teacher bringing sticks into the class and learning how to play the game. And it just snowballed after that. And I think that is one of the things that we're lacking even in the Fox Valley is we have excellent teachers. They just, we don't have those programs in for those teachers to excel and get kids excited about different opportunities.
Yeah. And like you said, it's more about getting that opportunity and that stick in their hand for the first time, because so I coach down at West Bend for the high school team, and I run their youth program, and we've partnered and started working with an awesome family, the Katzmas. They are super heavily hockey based. And the transition between hockey and box is so similar, and lacrosse is so similar. The hand-eye coordination is the same. Sorry about that. I have a 8-week-old puppy that's running around down below me.
Our podcast ends with a dog howl.
Yeah, it's my dog.
But yeah, hockey is just the biggest crossover, and like these kids get the stick in their hand one time. That's all it really takes. Like,
absolutely,
we just get them out there for 1 hour, and they absolutely love it, and their parents love it. Because for me, when I grew up, I played baseball and lacrosse, and my mom was like, "I cannot watch you play baseball anymore. You don't do anything." And I couldn't play baseball anymore because I couldn't stand hanging out in the outfield the whole time.
Heck yeah, best recruiting. Take
exactly.
The baseball players, right? Bring them over to lacrosse.
I got quite a story for you. Before I got to West Bend, there was a couple families that ran the program. The Staniks are one of them. Big lacrosse family, have been one of the biggest keys to success in the Washington County area. And they're one of the signs they built up for promo is, if you hate standing in the outfield, come try lacrosse.
Yeah.
And they put these signs up around the baseball fields in Washington County. And the other side of the sign said, if you hate watching your kids stand in the outfield, bring them to lacrosse. And I think they went by the field like 2 or 3 days later, and the signs were ripped up and in the trash can. But
awesome.
Everybody got a good laugh out of it, and they've really gotten it to grow a lot. So
I was a baseball player growing up, and I'll be honest, if I could have had a stick in my hand with lacrosse and just watching my youngest son play, absolutely would have probably quit playing baseball and picked up the sport, because my youngest son said the same thing. He's like, Dad, baseball's kind of boring. I'm like, yeah, it takes a special person to do it. And then he picked up lacrosse, and he's like, this is the best sport. He goes, this is more physical than football when I play. This is more physical than hockey. He goes, this is a great sport. And he's fallen in love. And all it took was, the first time he picked up a stick, really, he was playing in a game. So it's cool. It's a great sport. I mean, everybody should give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the thing that can be a little bit of a deterrent is the gear and how expensive it can be. Very similar to ice hockey. The gear can be expensive, but nowadays there's so many opportunities. Like there's some lacrosse stores I know down here in Milwaukee, and I think up in the Fox Valley area, that you can rent equipment for $100 for the whole season. Yeah. Nice. and they'll outfit you head to toe. And that just gives kids the opportunity to play, give it a try, and not have to sink a couple $1,000 or $100 into the gear that it takes to play. So there's a lot of avenues, and websites like Sideline Swap, where you can get used gear very similar to eBay, but you can get really quality gear from the Division I programs that your kids always look up to. You can find kids selling their gear on there, and then you can also find just really, really cheap used gear for your kids to play with.
I mean, there's really no excuse not to try lacrosse. It's super doable, and you fall in love with it. Tosh mentioned earlier, we had Casey Powell at the Red Smith Banquet a couple of years ago. Do you like his speed lacrosse? That's a pretty cool game he has developed.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think it's also similar to, so I don't know if Brendon did this. We never did this in my area. It wasn't a big lacrosse area, but 3x that like Jamie Monroe talks about all the time. It's just like, it's speed lacrosse, but it's like half court. It's like if you played half court basketball. So it's the same thing. It's just 3-on-3, and then one guy hops in the net, or like trash can lacrosse, very similar to. You just take a trash can, and now you protect it and try to score. I love it. I think the best thing with it, and that's why I do like the sixes as well, is because sixes in certain areas can just get kids more accessibility because you don't need as many. Same thing with speed. You don't need anything but a ball. Like you don't even need a real ball. You just need the tennis ball and a stick. And sometimes you could even use the plastic stick, that Brendon was talking about. So I just think anything that gets more sticks in hands at a younger age is going to be more likely for kids to like have equipment. And hopefully WIAA gets to a point where the school does provide equipment. Like that'd be really cool if it can get to that, because then more kids definitely can play.
Can you imagine the Bonta Bowl or just the Lawrence facility having a speed lacrosse tournament or a sixes tournament? Just pack the place, just youth fundraisers. Construct. I envision something. It's big. It's big. They used to have years ago in Neenah. It was a huge event. It was called Street Ball. It was 3-on-3 basketball, but they'd close down like a couple of city blocks and play basketball. I think I told Roger Hornberger this. It'd be so awesome to close College Avenue and play speed lacrosse down College Avenue one Saturday or whatever, and just build an event around it and just mega awareness.
Chris Green and I we had lunch today, and he was telling me about that same thing.
Yeah, or maybe it was Chris. We might have talked about that. Yeah, for sure.
It might have been Chris.
Chris and I are good buds.
Yeah, he was like,
him.
Right out here, they played 3-on-3 basketball, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Chris knows what I'm talking about. I don't know. I think it would be huge.
What I want to do this summer is basically see when the tennis courts are open on the river, and bring the box net there, and just like put a post up and say, hey, 3x, bring a team of 3, let's go, and do like a pickup 3x. When we have time during the summer. So like during the summer days, if it's super nice. So that's something that I've already told some kids about in the area. Bring your team, and we'll run the court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That's a great vet. Those courts are so cool, tucked in there on the river. That's
they're gorgeous.
Low key, that's an epic spot. Yeah.
So we kind of talked about the summer. You talked about your traveling. So what looks like Brendon, are you still coaching at the high school at West Bend for the spring here?
Yep. So I'm coaching the varsity team. I'm the head coach over there. And like I said, I run the youth program. So I kind of work hand in hand, kind of developing the young guys and then also getting to coach the high school guys. And fortunate would be an understatement. One of our buddies, Kyle Whitlow, he was a senior my freshman year. He lives not even 5 minutes down the road from West Bend. So he's helping me out. And then, like I said, we got three other guys actually that were a part of the program the past couple of years have moved back to the area and they're going to come help out. One of them, Mikey, coached at Canisius. So I'm bringing a whole staff together of kids that have played at a high level, kids that have been a part of the program and guys that have been transplants, I guess. And just, I love it. It's different than club because I get more of a commitment from the kids. We get to spend more time together. I get to coach them a little bit harder, and we get to do stuff that might not just be lacrosse involved. We can do a little bit of weight training. We can do speed training. We do a lot of film, and we really get to dive pretty deep into like the intricacies of lacrosse. And it's a lot of fun because that connection just dives deeper, and I see those kids all summer long, whatever club team they play for. I see them on the circuit because we all end up going to the same tournament. So I get to see them all summer. I get to see these kids develop. And it's a real blast just to be honestly part of their journey because I know how awesome it was to have great coaches in high school. But to have these kids and have someone that they can ask a question, and it might just be me being a little bit younger. It's easier to have those conversations because I was in their shoes no more than 8 years ago. It's really fun to be able to connect with those guys and really try and help them find their paths. Like we have kids that go on to play at really high levels, and then we have kids that go into the trades and then are like, hey, I want to come back and coach right away. And I'm like, nice. I'd be happy to have you back. So
how we'll just ask for a prediction here. What are you guys looking like this year?
We'll be pretty good this year. Last year we graduated. The past 2 years we've graduated a ton of seniors, and that was pretty much attributed to a lot of hard work from a lot of families that had been a part of the program in the past, and they've all had their youth kids, their oldest kids and youngest kids just graduate. So we'll be definitely on a little bit on the younger side. But our youth program and those younger kids, we've kind of been snowballing with the skill level. These kids have now had a stick in their hand for a lot longer. So I think it's a momentum thing right now. We'll be building off of, we've had 2 pretty good seasons. We won a conference my first year, and then we got second last year to USM. So we're looking to compete against Homestead in the conference this year. There's obviously some realignment that changes some things up. But a lot of those rivalries, like the ones that we have with USM and Homestead and all those schools, it's going to be really exciting to get back out there. And I mean, it's a little over a month away. I truly can't wait.
Randy Cohen always makes sure you have the best officials, right?
Yeah, Randy and I are good buddies.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll give him a hard time and I'll have to give him a call if I didn't appreciate one of the calls his refs, and his refs made my game, and he'll go, Brendon, don't worry, I already heard from the ref. And I go, I know. But yeah, he's awesome. He's one to just kind of shout him out. He's one of the biggest proponents to building the sport and growing the sport. While we think getting sticks in these kids' hands is hard, getting refs to ref these games is so hard. And that's probably the biggest challenge in my eyes with growing the sport in Wisconsin. One, because there's not that many people that played, so not that many people are interested in reffing or understand the game at that level. And 2, parents can be tough, coaches can be tough, kids can be tough. They don't get paid a whole lot necessarily. There's a lot of travel involved because the sport is so spread out across the state. So some refs travel 80 miles one way for a game. And I mean, I don't blame a lot of people for not signing up. So we're super thankful for the refs that do and the kids that come back and do it. But Randy's got a tough job, one that I definitely don't envy, but he crushes it. There's never been a game where we haven't seen enough refs at the games or the refs don't know what they're talking about. They're awesome. They're really well trained. They do an awesome job, and they make the sport honestly pretty fun to coach.
I appreciate you saying that as a newly former official. I mean, everything you said is true, and Randy does work. Because I mean, I've known Randy for years. He's been a mentor of mine for sure, and great guy, grows the game. But you're absolutely right, Josh. I'm not going to get on my soapbox because we do talk officiating quite a bit throughout this podcast. But you're right. I mean, that is the area. I mean, there's just not enough officials. Nobody. I feel terrible stepping away because I know there aren't enough officials, but I put my time in. Other people have to step up and officiate, and it's a rush. I try to get this across to especially some of the high school kids that maybe don't go on to coach or play. It's a pretty big rush to get out there and just be on the field. You're a part of the game. You're an intricate part of the game, and while you're not competing like you did with a stick in your hand, you are competing at a certain level. And I think there's similar rushes there that it's hard to get that message across to people, but man, that's what hooks you to be a good official. And then you only want to get better from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know they're working to kind of increase the pay to make it so it's a little bit more reasonable to get you out there and do it. And I started reffing soccer when I was little, so it's a way to get out there and make a little bit of money, learn a sport, have some fun, and since we need so many officials, you could have a game every week. So you could make a ton of money at this point if you just work if you're working every afternoon, reffing a JV game and a varsity game. So
back in the day, I've been to West Bend several times back in the day. Yeah, those trips are real.
It's an awesome town. It's growing a lot. We finally got a Chipotle in there.
Nice.
We got a Panera in there. Texas Roadhouse is the place to be in West Bend, but Chipotle and all those other places. So it's growing right now.
No, the high school is with WIA. It's going to be huge, but yeah, the high school season, it goes quick, but it's great lacrosse and same thing we said about football. When you see the kids out there playing lacrosse, stop by and watch it. It's entertaining and it's high pace. It's good lacrosse. It's well worth your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, so like our school's a co-op this year. We have East and West in the same building, so they're a co-op for pretty much every sport. But we have other schools like Slinger, Grafton, Hartford, Living Word. We used to have Port and a couple other schools, but kind of one of our due diligences and ways to grow the game here is to just play lacrosse and give these kids an opportunity to play at their school so they can invite their friends to the school. So like we'll be playing games at West. We played at Grafton last year, but we'll go back to Grafton, play a game there. We'll play at Slinger, we'll play at Hartford, and hopefully kids or their parents drive by and they're like, whoa, what's going on that field? I've never seen that sport in the spring, and just get people to stop by and come watch, and kids can draw their friends out. Their friends' parents can come out because it's in their backyard. And that's just another way that we can kind of grow the game, because I know there are a lot of co-ops and not necessarily every school doesn't provide the opportunity, but down the road, these co-ops will end up disappearing because you can't stop the growth of the sport. It's growing so rapidly. And even 10 years ago in Wisconsin, there weren't that many teams. And there weren't that many kids coming out to go play at really high levels. But now there's kids going to play Division I lacrosse at this point, left and right, all across the state. So the growth isn't going to start slowing down anytime soon.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you guys are doing the part in growing your game, right? You wish it could be a certain way, but we just have to transition and get ourselves to where there aren't co-ops, and that just takes time and education, just years of playing, and we're well on our way. So I'm happy for both you guys. It's glad to have you in the area for sure. Glad to have Construct here. Super excited to watch Lawrence coming up next year. And that's you're a year away, right? You're away from a face-off.
February 26th next year will be our first game. So
nice.
Yeah, we're almost an official full year away. And then September we'll start it going with practices, and we'll make sure that everyone knows, like, hey, you can always come to the practice. Practice is never closed. Because it's the same thing as Brendon was saying. Like, we want, maybe someone walks by, or maybe someone's like, hey, we're at Lawrence because track and field, or, Coach Krepp doesn't want to hear this, but his baseball kids are walking by and they're like, oh, wait, what's that game on that field over there? And now they come to lacrosse. So, I'm excited. I can't wait. I mean, I'm ready to be coaching my guys. This is going to be a long spring. Watching some college games this weekend, or going to the Marquette practice yesterday, I'm like, I just want to be in it. I wanted to jump in and coach some of the things, and I'm like, all right, I can't. I gotta relax.
How is recruiting, and how many players you have coming in so far?
Yeah, so recruiting I would say it's going well. It was always going to be a process, as a first-year team. Lacrosse recruiting's early, so I kind of got hired right at the tail end. To be honest, you really want to start your process like right now or February of the class that's going to be the year after. So I kind of started like middle June, like late June. So a little bit later. We're at 12 guys right now. We're going to be looking to get up to 20 to 22 freshmen. And then, the goal is to have 20 to 22 freshmen, 4 to 6, or I would say 4 plus transfers, because we need some older guys. We have 3 hockey guys that want to come out and play. They've played in high school, so they're going to come out and play.
Nice.
And it's cool to have 2 of them be 21-year-old freshmen. So they're nice and old. Exactly. And then we actually just posted about one guy yesterday who, his name's Nate Booth. He is a football and lacrosse player at Lawrence right now. He came to Lawrence for both. He knew he would have to sit out this year of lacrosse. And then we have another unbelievable young man. He actually played lacrosse at Wayland Academy. So picked it up at Wayland Academy, went from baseball to lacrosse, came to Lawrence, thought his career was over. And, I met with him probably 2 months ago and was like, hey, if you want to play lacrosse, there's going to be an opportunity. You're going to be a junior. And I'm not going to, I can't tell any of these guys that they have an opportunity to start or to play. Or I can't tell them they're going to start. I can just tell them they'll have the opportunity to play. And I looked at him and I said, hey, but the biggest thing you're going to do is you're one of the best people on this campus. You do so much. You're incredible in the classroom. You're accepted into Marine OCS when you graduate. That's unbelievable. You want to be a lawyer. There's not, if you ask him to do something, he'll do it even right now. He does everything that he can at the school. And he just represents lacrosse in the best way. There was a dinner for student athletes of color that CJ attended, and he is dressed with a sweater on, a tie, nice shirt, unbelievable shoes, polished. He looked unbelievable. Some kids were in sweats, and President Carter's like, "Who's this guy?" And I was like, "Oh, that's our first lacrosse player." So he just puts,
awesome.
He's at the highest standard. The hockey guys are like that too, and the kids that we're bringing onto campus and that are in our class are unbelievable. I was at one of the kids' hockey games last night. And they're just they're good lacrosse players, which is fun and exciting because I know we're going to be able to compete right away, but they're better people and they're from better families. And that's really what we wanted, for year one. Good. So we're not done yet. There's still some guys we need to close the deal on, this next 6 weeks, which is why today was super busy too. But, no, we're gonna have a great roster. We have so much support; it's unbelievable. I mean, when the president of your school is willing to meet with a recruit, it definitely means something, and that's what we had last Friday. So,
absolutely,
the support is unreal. I mean, the locker room. We're in the locker room now, and it's gorgeous. Everything's coming in. So, yeah, it's exciting.
What conference? Do you know what conference you're going to be playing in yet?
I do. Not allowed to share it yet, so I have to hold that close to the heart here.
No problem.
Yeah, but it's a really good conference. It's competitive. It's exciting. So I'm definitely pumped about our choice. And then I know out of conference wise, we still have the freedom to play a decent amount of games. We have the ability to go on a spring break trip. And every year our goal is to just go this way with our out of conference schedule. And by year 3 and year 4, I want you guys to shoot me a text and be like, Coach, you're crazy. Who the heck are you playing this year? Because that's the goal. We're not worried about anyone. We don't care if we're first year, 15th, 20th. We got to put our socks and shoes on the same way. We got to step on the field and compete. So we're going to have that confidence and that toughness and grit that we think that stuff is going to get us, through that door.
Do they do it? Maybe it's preseason in the lacrosse world. I mean, could you potentially play Marquette? I don't know if that's a preseason game, or do they cross over D3 with D1?
They do. I think. I mean, honestly, the goal is to get the goal for me is to get to a place where we can scrimmage Lewis, which is a really high level D2, and yes, we can scrimmage Marquette because they feel that we're actually going to give them a challenge. Now they're not going to scrimmage us if we're not going to give them a challenge because they scrimmaged Duke this past year. I don't know if that's really the same. But I would love to get there. I mean, I really want to play in the bubble. Like that's a dream of mine, is to play a game in the bubble, like not against them, but to play another D3 opponent in the bubble is definitely a goal. So
Sure.
yeah, I mean, if we can get there, I know our basketball team wants to scrimmage Marquette as well, because number one, I mean, Coach Korn is a crazy man in the best way. He wants to play the best teams always, but Shaka Smart's brother went to Lawrence, so there's kind of a connection.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I would love to. That would be unbelievable, and we would try to beat them by as much as we could too. That'd be the goal.
I believe that. I believe that. You were taught
Yeah,
well, right?
I mean, we did that, alumni game. Brendon and I were out there and had a good alumni showing. So
How often do you guys get the sticks out? Do you still play some besides alumni, or do you get a chance to play ever?
Yeah, we there's some pickup leagues I know around here down by me. There's some pickup leagues that you can play in in the summers. But for us, our big day is the alumni weekend. We
Yeah.
get to hang out with some of our buddies. We get to meet back up, and then we get to play against the team. There's no better feeling than getting out there, even though those kids might be a little bit younger and a little bit faster. We've been playing a little bit longer, so we like to try and outsmart them and
Yeah.
try and get back at the coaches.
Yeah.
So how's Monday morning after alumni weekend?
I have muscles that are sore that I didn't know could be sore. It's really bad. My hips are about as tight as they can be. I'm putting icy hot all over. I'm struggling.
Wait till you hit 50.
You don't even want to think about it. Well, guys, I know we're at about an hour here, and we really truly appreciate it. And we, one of the big things is we wanted to bring some light to your program. And thank you so much for talking about it. We wish you guys good luck. I don't want to wish West Bend that much luck because my kid's playing for Appleton United, but I wish you luck. We're actually going to be in West Bend for hockey next week, Tuesday. It's a playoff game. So
Awesome.
The Fox City Stars, my youngest plays for. That's the first playoff game of the year. So, yeah, you guys are great. We're gonna continue to keep in touch with you and follow you, and I can't wait for the beginning of Lawrence and be able to go down there in the September and just watch you guys practice as well. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can't wait. I definitely can't wait. And you guys, everyone is invited. I would love it if there was like the whole stadium was packed because it was first practice. That'd be unbelievable. That'd be electric. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the goal. I think we got to talk to the youth programs, and we got to get people out there for their first practice. That's a great idea.
I know the guys will be fired up. They're going to be excited if they see that. Yeah.
Well, cool. All right, Newsa-Cast listeners, we are going to give you the second opportunity to hear our very first throwback this week, and that is the one and only Mark Johnson. And this is obviously pretty important because Mark Johnson was a member of the 1980 Miracle on Ice, and February 22nd was the date in 1980 that they beat the Soviets.
Yes.
And he is many people believe was probably had the best Olympics out of every player on that team. He was responsible for 2 of the 4 goals. He scored the goal with 1 second left in the first that pulled the Soviets' number 1 goaltender out. The coach pulled him out when nobody understands why. And he was also responsible for the 3rd goal that tied it at 3-3. And, he is also in every single sports Hall of Fame you can think of for hockey. He's the longtime coach of the women's team at University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Yes.
And was just a spectacular speaker for the Red Smith Awards.
Yeah, it was great to have him here in 2009. He was fantastic. Yeah, I was thinking, Tosh, his coaching career is almost as good as or equal to his playing career, which after the stats you described is pretty hard to do, but just an incredible coach. The Wisconsin women's program is the best in the nation, the gold standard.
Yeah, they're perennial Frozen Four. They're number 2 in the nation right now, I believe. And they are playing fantastic again and gunning for another national championship. And, we didn't even mention he had a hell of an NHL career as well.
Right.
Played 669 games also, which is incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is amazing, and it's a great time to see this throwback. Looking back at the 1980 Olympics.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one you should enjoy.
Red Smith Sports Awards. Banquet Throwback.
The Red Smith Award, of course, goes to someone who has made some unique contributions to sport in Wisconsin and also epitomizes the great values that Red Smith exhibited.
Let's give a Red Smith welcome.
You'd have to look long and hard to find anyone in the state of Wisconsin who has achieved as much success as Mark Johnson has achieved. And as a freshman for the Badgers, Mark was named the WCHA Rookie of the Year. Mark Johnson still holds the record for goals scored in a season and goals scored in a career. Mark went on to the United States gold medal winning team, the Miracle on Ice. Mark played 11 seasons in the National Hockey League. He played professionally 3 more seasons overseas before returning to Wisconsin, his home. He would eventually be named assistant coach for the men's hockey team under Jeff Sauer. And after 6 seasons as an assistant coach for the men's team, Mark was named head coach of the women's hockey program in 2002. And during that time, he's built the premier women's hockey program in the country with back-to-back championships in 2006 and 2007. Everything Mark touches turns to gold. Mark has been inducted into the UW Hall of Fame, the State of Wisconsin Sports Hall of Fame, the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. He's been named a Silver Anniversary Award winner by the NCAA and the Vince Lombardi Award of Excellence. I'm sure any of you who know Mark Johnson will agree on this. You won't find a nicer person. You won't find anyone more humble. You won't find anyone more dedicated to his family, to his players and staff. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you one of the greatest athletes in the history of the state of Wisconsin. Please welcome our good friend, Mark Johnson.
Thank you, Vince. Certainly kind words. To me, it's really a night to be thankful, and certainly want to thank the Red Smith Committee for this great honor. As I look down the list of past winners a couple weeks ago when I went on the website, my first reaction was like, wow. You look at the names and what those people have done, not only within their communities, but certainly within their sports. There's a lot of impressive people on there, and so I'm very humbled to be part of that group, and certainly very honored. But as I look out, and Vince had said it was a large banquet, and when we walked through the doors here and I saw everybody sitting out there, it's like, no, this is huge. But it really paints a picture of what your community is all about. And as I've told on many occasions to different banquets that I've spoke at, you can have great buildings, and if you go down to Madison and you see the Cole Center, or you see Camp Randall, or the Overture Center. I mean, we got a lot of wonderful things down there. What makes the community special is the people. And as I interacted with some people tonight before we came up here, and as I look out in the audience and I see the real mission of what the Red Smith Banquet's all about, it sort of gives me goose pimples, because I have 5 kids myself, and I know how important youth sports is to a community. And the future of your community is within your young people, and it's so neat to see a community like yourself get together, raise money, distribute it out to different organizations in the Fox Valley. It just develops strength within your whole area, and you can see why people want to move up here and why wonderful things are happening around your area. And it's so special to be part of your evening, because like I say, the strength of your community is not only within the people, but what you do with your young people. And it's very neat to see this community come together and raise money. But I think the special things that I really reflect on, and I was very fortunate about, I had a father that really became a role model. When you're young and you're running around the house and you're running to different activities, you really don't know what's happening. You're sort of naive to what the whole culture of your environment. But as you get older, as you mature, and you look back on how you developed your morals and your values, and the first thing I looked at is my parents. And I was fortunate enough to have a father who was very passionate about his job. He was a coach, but more importantly, he was a teacher. He was genuine. He was 24/7. He had a lot of energy and enthusiasm for the game, and I was fortunate being one of his sons to watch it on a daily basis. And I just look back and reflect on the opportunities he presented, my mom presented to us as kids. You're just thankful that I was fortunate enough to live in a household that had that. And now as a coach, it's neat to go back on the ice with young kids, because to me it's pure, it's genuine. They're doing it because they love what they do with their teammates. It's great social opportunity, meeting different kids around the neighborhood. And it really is, as Ron mentioned, it's about having fun. And so last night we had a clinic at the Cole Center. 70 kids on the ice. We had 30 more kids doing off ice up in the gymnasium at the Cole Center. And it was just fun going on the ice, because these 5 and 6-year-olds with their hair in front of their eyes, with their helmets and their equipment on, getting a chance to skate around the Cole Center ice. It was very exciting. As we organized the on-ice activities, we got ourselves organized, and there's this young lady, young little girl, Annie was her name. She was 5 years old, and I said, Annie, you need to go down in the corner where they're working on skating. No, coach. I need to go to the bathroom. And what do? You just smile and say, okay, let's get you going here. And so, but that's the fun part about coaching, especially at the young level. So I compliment everybody here tonight on strengthening your community, giving kids that are at the young age an opportunity to experience sports in all different areas, and the opportunity to learn what sports teaches us. And those are life lessons, and you're really implementing things in them that they'll carry with them the rest of their lives. If you happen to be coaching at the youth level, you can have a huge impact on those players that you're working with, and you certainly want to be a role model to them, because the little things you do, they're watching you, and they're watching you very closely. So make sure you do the right things if you're getting an opportunity to work with the youth. But again, I just want to thank everybody for letting me be part of your night, and certainly very honored to receive this award. And it's a very special night for myself and my family. So thank you very much.
All right, Tosh, that was a great throwback and a great old look at new. Brought back a lot of memories, didn't it, of Miracle on Ice. But it can only mean one thing, Tosh, after the throwback. It means it's forgotten, and I'm never forgetting. So, Tosh, what are you forgetting?
This is an easy one. This winter.
Yeah, non-existent.
I want to forget it. Non-existent, because for a person who has an ice rink in their backyard, this winter sucked. In fact, we were on the ice for maybe one day this entire winter that it was actually usable.
Great day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great day. It was fun today to be outside. But I'm already looking at taking stuff down, because it's going to be 50 degrees this week, and next week it looks like the same. And it was not a good day. Not a good year for ice, whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, but a great year if you don't like winter. So I guess you have to look at the bright side, right?
Tosh, I've said this before, as a letter carrier, this winter I can't say enough nice things about it.
It's on fire, as they like to say.
It is.
It's lit.
It is. It is lit. It is lit indeed. Well, Tosh, that's a good one. Mine's a little bit more of maybe a question for you, for our listeners even, but is the art of conversation lost? I've been thinking about this a lot, because you and I have been having some incredible conversations, like best of my life kind of conversations, but it got me thinking, like, I don't know, we don't, everybody's on their phone. You have conversations with people over text. You know, it's not just that good old art of conversation. Is it lost? Is it forgotten, Tosh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's kind of sad, isn't it?
Totally is. Absolutely. As a teacher, I can tell you that they don't even know how to talk. Kids don't even know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge issue for sure.
Now, I will say, I think it can come back. You know, it takes some time, but I see it my own kids from time to time. You can have really good conversations with your kids. So it does give you a little bit of hope, but
oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's what the Newsa-Cast is here for, right? The art of conversation.
Yeah, maybe. Absolutely. Yeah, but you're right. It is a lost art. I don't know how or where. I think that, you know, it's going to, we don't even have to talk anymore. It's all going to be AI.
Yeah. That's even scarier. Right. Well, I hope we don't ever lose that. I mean, it is a part of us. We do know how to converse, but we seem to have forgotten that. So let's bring back, that'll be our motto, Tash. We're bringing back conversation. But
there you go.
Well, with every bad, there's got to be a little good. So Tash, what are you never forgetting?
Well, Joe, I'm going to take this back and think about a teacher that I had who kind of was the reason that I went into teaching. And he was an earth science teacher at Appleton West. And that person is Bruce Smith.
Yeah, I remember him.
And he kind of, I just enjoyed his class. And it was one of those just stuck in my head.
Sure.
And I liked having him as a teacher. And, you know, I actually did get to teach with him a little bit.
Oh, nice.
When I came into the district. But yeah, he's, there's that person. We've talked to everybody who has a person that's influenced them, whether it was the guys from Diggstown, whether it's, you know, whoever we've talked to, there's always been somebody. And Bruce Smith was an influence of mine, you know, one of those teachers from high school that I definitely remembered, teachers like that, teachers like Ed Smerzak, psychology. Those are at Appleton West. Those are some good teachers that definitely still remember.
Mr. Pekarsky,
got to teach with him as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's some great ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we all have had favorite teachers, influential teachers. It's it's pretty huge. I certainly remember Mr. Smith, definitely. And there were some great teachers at West, Einstein, all the schools we went to.
Yeah, absolutely. I
like it.
What are you never forgetting, Joe?
Well, Tosh, I'm never forgetting podcast accountability, because I'm held to it every single day by, I think, our most loyal listener. I've talked about him periodically, but I work with Steve at the post office. He's a longtime letter carrier, and Steve doesn't listen to podcasts. Well, he listens to one podcast. He listens to the Newsa-Cast. It's the only podcast he listens to. He knows how it gets downloaded to his phone. He's listened to all 33, 34 episodes, and I love the fact that Steve, he gives me honest feedback. He critiques what we talk about. He holds me accountable for some of the facts I spew on an old look at new or forgetting and forgotten. So I like that, Tash, the podcast accountability, and in particular, thank you, Steve. I'm never forgetting.
Yeah, we got to watch ourselves, right?
We do. We do.
We got to have our facts straight.
That's right. Maybe Steve's a mentor too. Who knows? But
there you go.
Well, Tosh, another fantastic episode, and we got to love lacrosse. It's our favorite sport. So thank you, folks, and we will we'll catch you next week. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page and download, subscribe, like, all that stuff helps. Tell a friend, share, anything you can do to help us out. We appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to another great episode of the Newsa-Cast. We'd really appreciate it if you hit up our social pages, subscribe, like, follow, and don't be afraid to engage. Head over to our YouTube channel to get exclusive content like the full interviews and speeches from the past Red Smith banquets.
Thanks for listening to the Newsa-Cast. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and tell a friend. A huge thank you to Diggstown for all the music in today's episode. Catch a gig or find them on Spotify. Help us grow by subscribing wherever you get your pods or sharing the Newsa-Cast. Follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, or Instagram. One of the best ways to help us grow is to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Northeastern Wisconsin Sports Advancement is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to raise money, provide support, and bring greater awareness for youth sports organizations in Northeast Wisconsin. We do this primarily through the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet and the Newsa-Cast. Each year, we give back to the community through 3 initiatives: the Every Kid Plays Grant, the Gives Back Initiative, and scholarships to student athletes.